Hi, this is Luke Bowman. Welcome to my video lesson for Better by Cody Fry featuring Cory Wong and Dynamo. I must admit this is the song that I've had the most requests for over the last few months, and I can see why. It's an absolute cracker. In this lesson I'm going to be looking at the original studio version. Obviously Cory did a great live version with Cody on his recent album, but I'm going with the studio version which has at least 2 guitar parts on it, and I'm planning to cover each part as we go along. If you're not familiar with the song, we can have a quick look at the playback in a minute. As always, there's a link below to the PDF tablature for both parts, so please get a copy of that. Also, if you enjoy the video, give it a like and please subscribe to my channel. Also check out my Facebook and Instagram pages, which are below. It would be great to have you following me on there too, so I can keep you up to date with things. You'll also notice that I've added a donation section below with a link to my PayPal account. A few people have been asking me if they could offer donations for the work that I'm doing. Obviously I'm doing all this for free. I have no plans to start charging for this. I do realise it's a very tight time for everybody, so there is no obligation at all for you to leave anything, but if you can spare a little bit, please feel free. Anything I do raise will be used to buy more equipment so I can improve the quality of these videos. I'm still doing this on my iPhone and I would really like a nice camera to be able to get better shots on. Okay, let's have a look at the playthrough and then we'll get straight into the lesson.
Tried to keep you on the outside, but now you're underneath my skin. And I can feel your eyes on me. All the lights are going dim. Maybe I love you, maybe I hate you. There is something in your eyes that leaves me paralyzed, and I find that you love me better than anyone else. Are you here to save my life? You're the devil in disguise, and I find that you love me better than anyone else before. There is something in your eyes that leaves me paralyzed, and I find that you love me better than anyone else.
So the studio version, I believe there are 2 guitars being tracked on this. Obviously in the video there are 3 guitarists, but I can only hear the 2 actually on the track myself. I've also had to try and estimate which ones are Cory and which is the other guitarist, Adam McPhail, who plays some of the rhythm parts and also that great solo at the end. I may have got it wrong, in which case I apologise, but both parts are down there so you can learn them and play along with them. Cory's playing is obviously quite distinctive. You get a lot of the kind of scratching going on, so you can kind of tell what he's playing. But we'll break it down part by part and we'll start with the intro. So the song is in B minor, doing a lot of things based around this kind of pattern, this shape. The intro just starts with just 1 guitar for the first 8 bars. It goes like this. Starting off here, the second beat of that first bar on your 9th fret of your D string, rest, 7th fret of your D, back up to the 9th fret twice. I believe Cory is playing this part and he puts quite a bit of vibrato on it. So the rhythm of that, so the way I would play this is downstroke, rest, downstroke, rest, downstroke, upstroke for that last 16th note. And there's a rest and then another 7th, rest and another 9th. So that whole bar. Next bar, pretty much the same, except we add a couple of scratches before we start. So there's a half a beat rest and then a couple of scratches. Next bar we have the scratches again, 9, 7, 9, 9, but this time we play the 7th fret twice. And then we go into a couple of scratches, 7, 9 with the rest between it, and then we're sliding up from the 9th to the 11th fret, like a grace note slide. So hit the 9th fret and immediately slide up to the 11th, slide back to the 9th and the 7th, a rest, and then 9th fret on your A string, only time we're playing a different string here, and then 9th fret, finishing on the 9th fret again on your D. It's pretty much all based around those notes, it's just getting that rhythm right. Okay, that then repeats, and then the second guitar comes in. We'll look at that second guitar part in a moment, but Cory is playing pretty much that same riff, but he's now changing it into thirds. So it's going. So what he's doing, his bottom notes stay the same. So 9th fret on your D string, 7th fret on your G to start off with. Down to 7th fret again on your D and the 6th fret on your G. Back up to the 9th and 7th. So give that a bit of vibrato still. Sounds good. Back down to the 7th and 6th fret to finish that bar. So that full bar, which then repeats, but we're adding those scratches. And the third bar of this riff, we're going down and staying down on the 7th and the 6th frets. And then the little lick at the end repeats, this time not in thirds. So that stays the same. Cory, when he's playing, very often instead of the rests that I've got indicated there, he might be hitting a scratch. So you can put extra scratches in if you want. So those 4 bars on their own. That repeats. So the intro is basically 16 bars as far as Cory's part is concerned. 4 bars of the single note. Repeated, so that's 8 bars, and then again 4 bars repeated of. Okay, so that's a pretty key riff. It comes back again in the chorus and the second verse. So halfway through that, after 8 bars of Cory playing that riff, I believe Adam is then coming in with a separate part, which goes like this. So basically what he's doing is filling out the top half of the chord. So we have Cory playing down here these 2 notes. And he's then adding these 2 notes on the top 2 strings, the B and the E, the 7th fret. So if you think of a B minor chord, down to an A major. That's pretty much the harmonic kind of progression that's going on here. So Cory's doing that. And then on the top. So it's 7th fret, B and E strings, down to the 5th fret, back up to the 7th fret. Quite a bit more scratching going on here. So that 3rd bar, we're staying down here, just as we stayed down here on the other part. And then we're mimicking the, so 5th fret, up to the 7th fret, slide up to the 9th. Back to the 7th. Then sometimes it's a scratch, sometimes I can hear the notes coming through when he's playing this. But we're playing the 6th fret on your G, 7th fret on your B, back to the 7th fret, or a scratch. Okay, and then we go into verse 1, and the good news about verse 1 is there's no guitar in it. If you listen to the live version, Cory pretty much sticks with a few more extra scratches through most of that intro and the verse as well. So I think he does play through verse 1 here, playing that same. Can't hear him in the live version or see him when you look at the video. thirds we're playing up here. Again, I could be wrong, but if you're looking at the live version, I believe it's just that. That kind of riff that's going on. So, nothing in the first verse. We can have a little rest and then we jump to the chorus section. Okay, so the chorus section, we actually start a bar before the chorus at the end of each verse. We have the scratch. The chorus starts with that kind of lick. So we've got 7th fret on your D string, 9th on your G, 10th on your B, 9th on your top E string. Playing this chord, which is kind of an A major. So think of D major, shape there, playing that up here, it looks like an A major. I believe the bass is actually playing the F sharp though, so it's actually an F sharp minor 7, which you might know that kind of shape. If that is a bit of a stretch playing that, it's not very often we play this chord in that shape. You could play the F sharp minor 7 kind of, yeah. So either just the top 3 strings, or you could add the 11th on your D. And then we go into the chorus. We stick with Cory's part for now. He's kind of strumming the chords. The chords are G major to A major to B minor. So, and then go into a D major 7 over F sharp, I believe. It's either that or an F sharp minor 7 chord again. The way Cory's voicing this, it's the G major, it's this shape, so it's your C chord shape, and he's playing D string, 9th fret, 7th fret on your G, 8th on your B. We'll look at the rhythm in a sec, but we'll just get the chord shape sorted out first. But then moving that up, 2 frets to the 11th, 9th, 10th on your B, also adding 9th fret on your top E string. So, and then we'll go into this B minor shape, which is just 3 strings again. D string, 12th fret, 11th fret on your G, 12th fret on your B. Finger it like that, or like that. So, then we're moving to that D major 7 over F sharp / F sharp minor chord, which is exactly the same shape, but down here the 7th fret. So 7, 6, 7 on your D, G and B strings. So, and that repeats. Rhythm of this, again Cory's got his right hand going, so there's a bit of a rest at the beginning and then hitting it 4 times and then a couple of scratches. And then second half of the bar. Okay, so the bar that's pretty much the pattern all the way through the chorus. Played the kind of the progression twice and then back to that chord that we played at the beginning of the chorus. Hit that 4 times. And then it repeats. So chord wise there it's quite simple, but it's very key to get it funky, going with your right hand, getting those scratches in and making it sound good. Looking at the live version of what Cory's doing there, I believe he's sliding into the chords. So that kind of, so the first time you're hitting it and sliding up. But I don't believe that's happening on the record, but it sounds good on the live version. Let's have a quick look at what Adam's playing, or the other guitar is playing during the chorus. And for the first half it's pretty much the same as our intro riff. Which then repeats, but instead of doing the little lick at the end, we do the 7th fret on your D string 4 times. So it's kind of the... Don't actually know if he's playing that because it is masked with that chord on the record. But if you're playing along, you might as well play the... And the second half of the chorus is kind of the same lick but in a different order. So we're doing... And then... And repeating that. That repeats 4 times. Okay, verse 2, if we stick with Adam, it's the same as verse 1. So this verse is actually shorter, it's only 8 bars instead of 16. The first 4 bars he's playing nothing, and the second 4 bars he's doing the... And that's it. He doesn't, in the second verse, do the... That only happens in the first verse. So it's basically 3 bars of that. The final bar, the 3rd bar, you're playing the 5th fret. And then he stops because Cory is doing a nice little lick. So if we look at what Cory's playing in the second verse, it starts off the same. The same riff that we've been doing all the way through. Down to there. And then he's putting a nice little lick in. It's a nice little double stop lick within that B minor pentatonic. So slowly. It starts 2 scratches, 7th fret twice, 9th fret twice, 7th fret on your D and G twice, and then up to the 9th fret on your D and G. I use 1st and 3rd fingers barring it, and the 7th fret on your G and B. Barring again, then back to the 9th fret, 9, 7, 9 on the D and G. And then 7th fret on its own, and then it kind of goes in the next bar and there's a bit of a pick up and hits the 9th fret on your D and G. One thing to do with this, as often when Cory's playing these kind of licks, is keep it nice and muted and very staccato, so very snappy on this hand. Don't let the notes ring on. That kind of thing. I can't play it as well as he does, obviously, but that's the kind of thing you're going for. It's definitely not... Obviously that doesn't sound as good, so try and mute as much as you can. So even though I'm fretting the note, you're just getting the mute. And then get it to a point where you can hear the note coming through, but you're pulling off immediately, or releasing the pressure on your left hand as soon as possible. Takes a bit of practice. That's the kind of thing you're going for. Okay, he then goes back to that original riff, but in the 3rds again. So same as we did at the beginning of the song. So 3 bars of that, a lot of scratching going on, because the song's really building up at this point. And the 4th bar, again he's doing another lick. Basically in this verse, instead of doing the... He's putting 2 little licks in. This one goes... like that. So there's a couple of scratches again. 7th fret on your top 2 strings, scratch, 7th fret on your G and B, hammer on the 9th fret, and pull it off again. So you're really only hitting that once, but just hammering on the 9th fret, so leaving that top note to ring through. So another scratch. And exactly the same on the next 2 strings, so 7th fret of your D and G, hammer onto the 9th fret on your D, and pull off. Scratch, and then hammer on 7th to 9th fret on your A, scratch, 7th fret on your D, 7th fret on your A. Hold it slowly. Very cool kind of hammering on lick, quite Hendrix-esque I guess you could say, but it sounds very good indeed. Rhythmically it flows really well as well, sounds a bit different, stands out. And then we go into the chorus, which is the same as what we did before, so I'm not going to go through that in any detail, but we're basically going to going through that section with Adam playing that, and that is the second chorus. Okay, so let's have a look at kind of the breakdown section, I'm calling it, after the second verse. So the song's really built up at this point, and then it comes all the way back down to quite a quiet, mellow piece with some real cool drum rhythms going on and some nice piano. Just one guitar at this point, and there's not a lot to it, but it is possibly the hardest part of the song to make it sound good and to make it sound like the record. And again, I'm not saying I can do that, but I'll show you what I believe is happening, and then you can try it out for yourself. I've had a few comments in the past about this section, people saying obviously we know the note it's playing, it's the B, 9th fret on your D string, but getting the feel and getting the timing in with the drums and the piano, people have had questions on how to do that. I will try and cover that, I can't promise I'll get it right. So, everything is happening, it's 9th fret, it's all that's happening through all this whole breakdown part, and it is very much about the feel of how you're playing it, so you want to be palm muting again. Hitting it lightly. It's not a heavy hit. These notes, they're very light. I would start off, if you think of all 16th notes, down, up. You're palm muting it and holding it pretty lightly on this as well. It's all about the accents that you put in and the notes you're playing rather than the rests. Throughout this section, I've put everything as rests, where he's not playing a note. Not sure that's strictly true. This hand is always going, so you are getting some palm muted and lightly plucked strings going on. So again, nothing happening, just resting my finger there. And it's kind of jumping between the two. At certain places, we'll look at the rhythm in a second. Just try, as an exercise, if you're struggling with this part, to just come up with your own rhythms. You're doing constant 16th notes, palm muting this hand, and then occasionally going for that kind of effect by occasionally fretting at the 9th fret, but keeping it light and muted. Okay, there is a repeated rhythm that goes on through this that I could hear. The first two bars of this are slightly different, and then it goes into this rhythm that repeats through the majority of the rest of the breakdown. So if we think about this first bar, you've got a beats rest, and then we're hitting it twice. Rest, or a kind of a mute, and then an upstroke, hitting it 3 times. And then the next 3 notes are all upstrokes, so it's a downstroke, downstroke muted, upstroke playing the note. So, and this is quite common throughout this riff. It's those upstrokes that are really being accented and giving you that kind of syncopated feel that's going on here. So that first bar, sorry if you're getting any noise and squeaks and things going on here, electrics wise isn't great in here, hopefully you're getting the idea. The second bar, we're then going straight in, hitting 4 notes, arrests / mute, and then playing a whole load together. So you're doing 3 to finish off that beat, so the mute, and then 3, and then 4 for the next beat, and then for that last beat. Put those 2 bars together. Again, I'm doing this quite slowly. It is obviously a lot faster when you play it at speed. Is how he's starting that. The next 2 bars is the kind of rhythmic phrase that repeats through the rest of this. Starting, playing the 16th notes 4 times, downbeat scratch, upbeat, downbeat scratch, upbeat, and the second half of the bar is exactly the same. So you can see already there that it's the upstrokes that he is really highlighting here, so we're playing kind of like so 1 E under, 2 E and A, 3 E under, 4 E and A. So upbeats, which are kind of really making it stand out. You could play that bar through the whole piece and it would work. All Cory is doing is in the second bar is losing one of those rests. So we're doing the same, the first half of the bar is the same, and the second half of the bar. So on the 4th beat we're putting in that first downstroke instead of muting it as we were in the previous bar. So we play those 2 bars together slowly. On its own, slowly, doesn't sound like very much, but when you speed it up, it kind of gives you that feel that you're hearing in the song. And it's very much, as I've said, about getting the muting, the light touch, and getting those, try and accent. So when I say accent, I mean you're just hitting it a little bit harder on those upstrokes after the rests. Nice and clean and snappy. Okay, it varies slightly towards the end. It goes back to some of the stuff that we saw in the first 2 bars. But if you work through the transcription, take it slowly and work it out, hopefully you can get that to sound how you want to. Okay, so all the time that Cory's doing that, the piano and the drums and the rest of the band are kind of building up to a big crescendo into this breakdown part, which is where we switch. Actually, I don't think Cory switches. I think Adam has switched maybe to the first position. Pick up, which I'm going to do for now. I think Cory stays in the 4th position. He certainly does on the live version. So we're going into now what I call the band breakdown, which is where everybody's kind of gone to that dirty, distorted, overdriven sound and playing in unison. So the initial part before the solo actually starts, Cory and Adam, I believe, are playing the same thing. So it's being played in unison. It's exactly the same notes, except Cory is putting a few scratches in, whereas I believe Adam is just playing the notes on their own and rests instead of scratches. So let's look at the actual riff bar by bar and get the hang of how it goes. We're still in B minor, so I'm down at this kind of B minor pentatonic shape down here. Starting off, 2nd fret on your A string, 5th fret on your A string, 2nd fret on your D, 4th fret on your D. That's not strictly true, we're actually starting at the very end of the previous bar, so we're starting with the... That's how it begins. So you're starting with the 2nd fret B note on your A string there. That's how the riff begins. Cory's then definitely putting some scratches in, and then we go 2nd fret on your A, 5th fret on your E, 2nd fret on your E, into the next bar, 5th fret on your E, 5th fret on your A, 5th fret on your E, 2nd fret on your A string. So, slowly. Kind of a 2-bar pattern that goes on through there. It sounds really good because it's starting on the very final 16th note of the previous bar, so it's got that kind of syncopated feel. I still tend to play it, I believe, as a downstroke. And I'm hitting those first and last B notes with the downstroke. If you're doing the down, up, technically you should be starting it and finishing on upstroke. Like that. How you do it is up to you. I just do it that because I think, going back to my old rock days, downstrokes always sounded a bit heavier. Well, a lot of those rests, I believe Cory is pretty much filling them with scratches. So it's kind of... I haven't notated that, but I believe that's what he's doing, so you can play around with it and make it sound good. Adam, though, I believe is just playing. It then repeats. And Cory does a bit of a that kind of slide up, so you're basically sliding up on the top strings, down on your bottom strings, that kind of thing. And then into the second part of the lick. So it starts the same, up to your 4th fret, but then you go into the 2nd fret on your G string. Nice bit of vibrato on that, and holding it, so no rest there. 4th fret on a G string, straight down to the 2nd fret. So, and then riff finishes the same as it did earlier. So, play that bit together. And then it repeats one last time. And then the solo comes in, which we will look at in a minute, but let's have a look at what Cory plays, because it does change in the solo. So it starts the same. Still lots of scratches going on. Then, the next part, 3rd fret, so we're adding a C, which is unusual in B. I guess it's the flat 9. And usually you play a C sharp in B minor. If you know your modes, I think you'd call that a B Phrygian. So 3, 3, 5, 2, 5, and then 2nd fret on your D, 3rd fret on your A, 3rd fret on your bottom E. Quite tricky that. I'm fingering like that. You could roll your finger across. So all up strokes. Scratches between them if you can, and then it finishes off 3rd fret again on your A string, 5th fret, 2nd fret on your D, 5th fret, and then slide up to the 4th fret on your D, back to the 2nd. So ending with 2, 5 on the bottom E string, 5 on your A string, back to the 2nd fret. Thing repeats again. So this pretty much repeats round and round throughout the solo. So I'll play it slowly, those 2 riffs. Okay, it's a couple of times there, doesn't put that end bit in, just go straight back. Goes back to the B, but you can get that from the tablature. The last time through, going into bar 107, as the solo's coming to its big climax. That bit is exactly the same. The next bit is very similar, but it's accented. So 3, 5, 2 on your A and D string, and then 5 on your A string, 2, 4. On the D string. So the last time through. That kind of matches what the solo and the rest of the band are doing, and then there's a big pause with the vocals going through, and then we're going back into the chorus riff. But to get into it, we're missing out the G chord the first time around, we're going straight into the. It's kind of on that last beat of bar 109, or the last 16th note of bar 109, and you hold it on. Then back through the chorus riffs that we've already looked at. That goes through to the end for Cory, and that's all of Cory's parts. To finish off, we'll now have a look at Adam's solo. So the solo that Adam does at the end here, I really like this solo. It fits the song perfectly. It's got a real kind of almost improvised feel to it. It builds up in a few places, there's a lot of speed going on, quite a lot of alternate picking. There might be a bit of wah-wah going on there, I'm not exactly sure. I've transcribed it the best I can. Sorry Adam if it's not right. I think some of the rhythms of the fast bits they're playing, Adam is probably playing it slightly different. I've just tried to keep it as straight as possible. But we start off like this. Which is played a couple of times. So starting the 10th fret on your top E, down to the 9th fret, back up to the 10th fret, to the 12th fret. Quite a bit of vibrato going on there, so when Adam's playing it. Not exactly sure, the video does jump around so you can't always see exactly how he's playing something. Not sure if it's vibrato with this hand or if he's using a whammy bar. Quite a simple melody, but it sounds good with quite a bit of vibrato going on. And 10th fret on your B string, up to the 12th fret, and then slide down to the 8th fret all on your B string. That's kind of how I've been playing it. Sliding up to the 12th fret, sliding down to the 8th fret. It then repeats again. Before going into the solo proper, which starts at. So remember this solo is in B minor, so if you know your B minor kind of scales, pentatonics and minor scales, that's the kind of notes that we're using in this in this solo. Starting off then, 12th fret, top E, down to the 10th, and then again 12, 10, and then 12, bending it up, full tone to that F sharp. A lot of sustain, a lot of vibrato going on here, keeping that going, and then there's kind of like a tremolo picking going on there. So tremolo picking, which is very fast, so I put it as 16th note triplets. Basically play along with the record. If you've got an app where you can slow the record down, it's great to be able to play along with it at a slower speed and then speed it up. If you've got that facility, I use AnyTune, I think I mentioned that before. Give it a go, but I'm sure there are other companies out there. So, a lot of that tremolo picking, and then back down to the 12th fret, which has a lot of vibrato. It's almost as if you're bending it back up to that F sharp for that bar. Which is kind of how I've tried to notate it, but otherwise just some very heavy vibrato. So and eventually pull off to that 10th fret and up to 17th fret, bending it up to the B, back down and back up again. So I'm not playing with the record here, so I probably won't get the timing right. Is that first section of the solo. Next part, we're going to start down here and have a nice little ascending run up to the top B up here. So starting at the 10th fret, bend up, full tone to that B, down, and again, so you're doing that twice. To the 7th fret, 10th fret, all on B. 7th fret on your top E, back to the 10th fret. So then into this lick again, timing wise, I think this is close, but possibly not exact. I'm pretty sure the notes are quite similar to what he's playing, unlike what I did in the playthrough, which was just a bit of an improvisation, trying to do the same kind of thing. I haven't learned to play it at speed in this level of detail, I'm afraid to say. So the first phrase in the next bar, 7th fret on your E, 10th fret on your B, 7th fret on your E, sliding up to your 9th fret, back to the 7th fret, and then the 9th fret again. So next phrase, 7, 10, 7, 10 on your top E string. So and then 7, 9, 7, 10, sliding up to the 12th fret. Again, quite a lot of tremolo picking going on here, so you maybe hitting some, you can try maybe hitting some of the notes a couple of times as you're going up, a bit a la Van Halen. But the next part, so we've slid up to the 12th fret, then 10, 12, 10, 12 up to the 14th fret. So that, starting again down here. 12, 14, 12, 14 again to finish that bar. So that bar is quite a complex one. But rhythmically, some of the notes are slightly faster than others, so you need to kind of play it along with the record to get it correct. And then from the 14th fret to the next bar, we're sliding up to the 17th fret, back to the 14th, back to the 17th, and then bend it up to that beat. So, and then he's finishing with a very fast phrase at the end, which I believe is that pattern repeated over and over again with some very fast alternate picking. When I really slow the record down, I can hear occasional note being added to it, but I've tried to transcribe this as cleanly as possible. Very good to palm mute this again, because it's very fast. I don't believe it's hammering on and pulling it off, but you could do that. Play each note. Play each string once. So 14th fret on your B, to the 15th fret on your B, 14th fret on your top E, to the 17th fret. It's those 4 notes. Repeating, so do it either hammering on, or, to get it to sound more like the record, alternate picking, so down, up, down, up. Again, when I slow it down rhythmically, I've put this down as 16th notes, but 7 over 4, I believe. So you're basically playing 7 16th notes in the space of 4. So 7 notes per beat. When you slow it down, Adam's not actually doing that. He is sometimes playing it like that, but sometimes almost like a grace note, which gives it kind of a really, I want to say disjointed, but in a very good way. So he's playing it over a very specific rhythm that the band are playing, but he's playing something very syncopated and different to it, which really builds the tension up to that final. So when you played it, I believe 13 times, just to count it, we end up with 3 bends from your 17th fret up to that top B when Cory's playing there. Kind of having at the same time the same rhythm, da da da. So more times than I played it there, because I was just starting to lose control. So as I mentioned, take it slowly. If you can slow it down, play along with it slowly and take it phrase by phrase. It's a great solo, some great ideas in there in terms of how to move around the fretboard. So to get from down here to up here. Very handy. And that fast lick at the end is really cool, but it's very fast, I have to say. Okay, then back into that final chorus. Adam's playing the same thing that he was playing in the previous choruses. And that's pretty much the song. Hopefully I've covered the parts that you really wanted to learn from that song. It is a great song, I really love it. In my opinion, it should have been a massive hit at some point. But as is often the case with great musicianship, it doesn't necessarily translate into the popular market, which is a big shame. But a great song. If you haven't checked Cody out, if you've just heard the stuff he's done with Cory, please go and check his albums out. He's a phenomenal singer, piano player and songwriter. I really love his albums. If you have any questions, as always, please let me know. Otherwise, have fun playing along with this track, and we'll see you soon for the next video. Thank you for watching.